Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz test postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 339. I was white here, kicked off with d4, and my opponent played knight c6, a very rare second move here. And this is known as the Lundin defense, or actually I looked up a bit about the person it's named after. He's from Sweden, so maybe it should be Lundin rather than London, but anyway. Erik Lundin was a Swedish player from the 30s through the 50s and 60s, I guess. He was a contemporary of Gideon Stahlberg, whose games we've seen in the 1953 Zurich tournament. And there's another connection with the Zurich tournament. Actually, Lundin played the Binko Gambit-like line that against David Bronstein and defeated him in 1949. And then in 1953, Bronstein trotted that opening out again and tried it in the Zurich tournament and won a game with that. So I showed that. I think that might have been the very first game in the series I did on the Zurich tournament. So that line came from Lundin as well. So just a little bit of history about Erik Lundin, and who this opening is named after. It's also called the Kevitz-McCanus opening, and I looked up in the database, and there were some games by McCanus in this line. I could not find any games by Lundin in this line, but I assume since it has his name on it, it must have been something he played. So after knight c6 is played, white has a lot of choices. e4 is what I played the last time I faced it. If you want to see another instance of this opening, I played it in my Blitz game number 242. And I played e4 there. And after e4, you've actually transposed into the Nimzowitsch defense, because the Nimzowitsch defense is e4 followed by knight c6, and then d4 is the line in the Nimzowitsch. Knight f3, I suppose, is an opening, is a possibility, just developing, makes sense. d5, just pushing the pawn forward, or c4, playing it like a queen's pawn opening, and that's the way I played it. And now, if black chooses to play d5, we've just transposed into the Chigorin defense to the queen's gambit. If he plays knight f6, then we've transposed into the black knight's tango. So e5 is the way to keep the opening in original lines. And the way I played it is maybe not the book move. The book move here is either knight f3, developing. It seems a bit weird because you're putting your knight there where it could get chased again. But I guess black loses tempo chasing your knight, so maybe it's not so great for him to play e4. d5, though, seems like a very logical way to play this. You just push the pawn forward. So just to check out this line a little bit, if I had played d5, he could play knight ce7 right away, but it looks like it's a little more precise to throw in this bishop check. Knight d2 to defend, because white's not anxious to trade off this dark squared bishop, which is a good piece in this structure, so he wants to keep this back. And then put the knight here. And now the knight retreats, and white can continue developing. Maybe a3 to kick the bishop right away, or knight f3. After knight f3, e4, the engine is recommending a3 anyway, so I guess a3 is a move to play. And then black is best to take, and then f5 to support his advanced pawn. You get this kind of funny structure, but it looks like white is a little bit better in that playing in the main line there. So I just took the pawn after e5, and we're out of the opening book at this point. It looks like this is an okay way to play. That was like the second choice of the engine. He takes, and then I play e4 here, defending the pawn, which was under attack from his knight. He goes d6, and h3. I want to keep the bishop out of this square. I want to play the move knight f3, and I don't want it being pinned. So all of this seems to be okay. He develops his bishop here. I play b3. This pawn was under attack once again. I want to secure it. Knight f6, going after my e-pawn. So black does get a bunch of threats, but I can defend against all of them and keep some slight edge. And after a few moves, I managed to get a pretty good advantage. Maybe these moves from black are not the most precise. Just putting up some defensive moves, yeah, it sort of gives a little bit of edge to white here. Bishop e7, and you can see the effect of those two pawn moves is that these haven't contributed much to black's development, and he's got kind of a cramped position. So those moves are probably a waste of time, but not like it's a losing advantage here. or not like a winning advantage for white, I guess I should say. So the development continues. Now I was a little bit worried. There's ideas of a sacrifice here on h3 with this lineup that he's got of the queen and the bishop. But I decided it was still safe to play this knight d5. One idea is that after a sacrifice on h3 I can bring the knight, excuse me, this knight. I can bring this knight back to f4 and help defend these squares. So I thought this would be safe enough. And if he trades, then that's just one less attacking piece he has. He plays rook e8. I go bishop e3. And bishop takes d5, cd. So all this is pretty good for white. I've managed to create a backwards pawn here that maybe I can get a battery on. But he tries immediately to alleviate his concerns with c5. And now it looks like the best way to play this is to play knight takes e5. So just to show this, if I grab the knight, he's forced to take back with the pawn at this point. And now he can defend this guy with a move like b3. It's suggesting a4 is the engine's idea. But I've got a passed pawn here which is protected, and this is going to be pretty strong for the rest of the game. Maybe there's a tactical problem with b3. What happens if he just plays b3? Oh, it's white's move here. Okay, and that's defended. I guess it's adequately defended. Okay, so I just pile on with rook f to c1 or rook a to c1. Probably a move. And now b6. Okay, so yeah, he can defend the pawn, so he's not losing material here. So it's just the positional advantage of this passed pawn here. It's always going to be a threat the rest of the game. So that would be a good way to play it. I played takes en passant, right? We were here, he played c5, and I just took it en passant. And now if he takes back with a piece, a queen or the knight, then that's okay for black. He took with the pawn, and now this leaves him with a weak c-pawn that I can use as a target. And once again, I should probably just grab the knight. In this case, I'm not getting a passed pawn out of it, but I am creating these isolated pawns here that I can subject to attack, and this is also good for white. But I played rook to d1. It's still okay. I'm still keeping some edge. Queen b7, knight h4. So this knight h4 adventure maybe is not the right idea. Once again, I could have taken the knight there. Hold on just a second. Yeah, okay, I want to play on a few more moves. At some point I want to get into some tactical quizzes, but right now we're just playing the moves of the game. And I am keeping some edge here. That bishop move maybe is not the most precise. d5, trying to undermine the center. And I exchanged here. He took with the knight. And now bishop to c5. Thought this bishop was a target here, and I just wanted to trade it off. So he plays knight f4. These knights are a bit of a menace. I took here. Cancel. Oh, I didn't take. I played bishop f3. Yeah, so this is just a blunder. I overlooked that he could take that. It's interesting here. And notice how these knights control these light squares. So my bishop is almost dominated by those knights. All these squares are controlled by them. And it's a target here. Bishop takes f8 is recommended. But after bishop takes f8, let's try this as a variation. He can grab here with check. King takes, and then I get the knight here at the end. So, okay, so he can't really, even though it's with check, he can't really grab that bishop. So the bishop is safe for one move. So that's the way I should have played it. I should have just taken the bishop and then found a safe square for this guy. Or if I wasn't going to do that move, my other option would be just to drop the bishop back to f1, get it away from those rampaging knights, and still have a decent edge. But okay, I play bishop f3, and this just loses a pawn. So he takes immediately. I mean, it's more than just losing a pawn. It completely messes up my kingside pawn structure here. So I mean, I would have avoided that even if I had, and if I hadn't lost a pawn here, I still should have avoided it. Okay, and he plays knight takes. And now I'm going to turn the engine off. because I want to start doing some tactical quizzes. So it's my turn to move here, and the move I make is a mistake. So if you want to take a moment, well, I guess it's since you can see what the move is, I'll go ahead and put it on the board. So there's a tactic that black has here. See if you can spot the tactic. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. It is queen b5 check. Okay, just a simple fork. My bishop is loose, I guess you could say. It's defended once and attacked once. And when the queen comes here with check, it brings a second attacker, and I can't defend against both threats. I have to move the king, I guess. If I move the king also to e1, oh no, I guess it doesn't matter where I move the king in this case. No, I can't because of his rook, right? So I have to go this way if I'm going to move the king. Or if I bring the queen up to block the check, he can trade. Yeah, so my only king move is this square. And he can take the bishop. Or if I move the queen up to block, then he can take my queen, exchange it, and then grab the bishop. So he's going to be just a piece up there. He played knight f4. And let's... I took the bishop finally, which is my plan. And then on this move, I played queen c3, but I had a much better move here. Queen c3 was a mistake. So see if you can spot the best move for white in this position. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. This is a real cute one. I always like this kind of tactic. You can take a pawn. And why do you get away with it? You get away with it because when he takes back, you have the fork. And king has to move and you grab the queen. So it's completely just winning a pawn for free. Plus you've simplified the position, and now white is a little bit better. Interesting. So I missed that idea and played queen to c3. And now black has a tactic. So it's one tactic after another in this game that we missed, both of us. It's black's turn to move. What's a good tactic for black here? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. Once again, it's this queen b5 check. And this is a position I was thinking of earlier. If the king goes to e1 here, it's just checkmate. So the king goes this way. But the problem is really that the knight's hanging. So if the king moves or if the queen goes to block the check, we just get queen takes knight. So once again, it's a fork picking up a piece. Okay. So let's see. I played queen c3. He played f6, blunting this diagonal. I mean, queen c3 was played with a threat. So I was threatening to just checkmate here. So you naturally want to respond to that. But the check and take knight completely deals with the checkmate threat. So that's an interesting way to... That's a lesson, I think, in tactics, that when you're under threat, you want to look for creative ways to deal with the threat, you know. So if you can win the knight, that's a better way of defending against checkmate than just blocking the checkmate. Okay, so he played f6, and I went rook d4, he went knight d5, went queen d2, and he played queen c8. And... right here, this is the last tactic in the game that I'm going to give you a quiz on. It's white's turn to move. What's a good tactic right here? Okay, well, notice the, I'm going to give the answer away now. The queen is attacking the knight, but you can defend the knight by taking this knight. So, okay, well, you gave up a rook. What's the point? The point is this check again, forking the king and the queen. So that's pretty nice. The queen went back to c8, attacking my knight. And once again, the best way to defend that knight is not to move it or play queen c2 like I did, just a simple defensive move, but to play this tactic, defending for one move with the rook, and then after this knight is gone, this knight was guarding the forking square, and after that knight is gone, then you can deliver the fork. So there it is again. Rook takes, pawn takes, knight there, and wins. Okay, so I played queen c2, and after this, black is better the rest of the game. So rook e8, I should have played, actually this move. I should have played rook g4 here, continuing to go after his weak g-pawn. Actually, white keeps some edge in that line. I played rook e1. trying to trade off this guy. I was still a little worried, and I was kind of low on time. I thought his pieces were ominously gathering around, and my pieces were kind of loose. But still, the more aggressive rook g4 was a way to keep the edge. After this, black has the advantage the rest of the game. So I take. He goes queen e6. King d2, trying to run away from these checks. He can bring his rook in at some point. Yeah, he does that now. And it's just hard to defend against all these threats. I try to block. He plays queen to d7. I go knight to d4, trying to organize my pieces a bit. I should probably just trade rooks, but black is still winning. He went rook to c8. I was attacking this pawn here. Then I go rook e6. And this final tactic, my opponent spots. Yes, this is famous undermine the defender. My rook is here. It's defended only by the knight, and I have to move the knight here, and that'll leave my rook hanging. So that's just winning for black. So a good game, even though we did miss some tactics in the middle. It led to interesting tactical quiz opportunities here. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.